Okay, hello, good morning. My name is Federica Vitale. Welcome to this webinar. I hope you can all hear me well. If you cannot hear, there's a questions tab on your screen where you can write us and we will try to help you. Anyway, I am here today with my colleague Giovanni D'Arezzo. We will present this webinar together. And as you know, the webinar is for potential applicants to Eurostars. Thank you. Someone has just confirmed that you can hear me. And let me just check if the webinar is being recorded, but I think so. Okay. Yes. Okay, so tomorrow, as you know, we will open the fourth call of Eurostars. So we hope to give you with this webinar all the key information that will help you to apply successfully for the program. Just for those of you who don't know, Eurostars is a program, is a funding instrument that is part of the European Partnership on Innovative SMEs. This is a partnership that Eureka has launched with the European Union, with the European Commission, and it is co-funded by 37 Eureka countries and the European Union through Horizon Europe. So here you have a map of the 37 Eureka countries that are part of the partnership. As you can see, we have European countries as well as countries outside of Europe. So funding opportunities are available a bit everywhere in the world. So it's a great opportunity to catch. And before I jump in to the presentation, just a couple of words about this webinar. It's going to last approximately 1 hour with a 45 minutes presentation. And then at the end, the last 10 minutes will be fully dedicated to your questions. So you have the possibility to ask us your questions directly. On your screen, you can see questions tab and you can type your questions there. You can type them anytime during the webinar, but I, in any case, advise you to wait a little bit before typing your questions because we may already answer through our presentation to some of them, and also, in any case, we will answer them at the end of the presentation. The webinar is being recorded, and it will both be published on our website, so together with the slides. So you can go on our website at any time. In the next days, you will find this last webinar recording. You can download the slides and you will also receive it by email at the end. So let's start. The topics that we will cover during the webinar are outlined here. We will present the key dates. We will give you an idea of the type of projects that we fund through Eurostars, who can participate in Eurostars, what are the eligibility criteria, how funding works. We will talk about the legal and financial viability check, which is a key part of the evaluation process. And we will go quickly through the main information about the application form. Then the evaluation process, I will explain when you're going to receive the results, and my colleague Giovanni D'Arezzo is going to present the project platform, its main feature. So let's start with key dates. Tomorrow we launch the call, tomorrow 10th February 2023. It's the fourth call of Eurostars. Starting from tomorrow, you will have 2 months to apply. And the deadline will be the 13th of April 2023 at 2 p.m. Brussels time. So remember that on the 13th, you will not have the full day, but only until 2 p.m. Brussels time. Keep this in mind. If you go right now on the project platform, you will not be able to create an application because the call is not open. I know that some of you try already, but you don't manage. That's normal. It's because the call is still not open. You will have access to the application form online, at least from tomorrow. What type of projects do we fund through Eurostars? Now, Eurostars funds collaborative and international projects. In your project, there must be at least 2 partners, so that's the minimum number. It can be more, but definitely we do not fund mono-beneficiary projects, okay? And your project must also have an international component. Indeed, it must include at least 2 different countries. What's great about Eurostars is that the program gives you the opportunity, the freedom to innovate in any technological areas and to address any market areas. So we do not set thematic goals. It's a program that adopts a bottom-up approach. It means that innovators have the freedom to innovate wherever they want in the technology area that they want. And one key characteristic that your project must have is that it must be market driven. So the innovators that participate, they must aim at developing an innovative product, process or service with the intention to commercialize it rapidly after the project has ended. Of course, in case of projects of biotechnology, biomedical or medical projects for which the road to market is quite long, what you should aim, what you could aim to reach after the end of the project is not necessarily commercialization. It could be the start of clinical trials. Okay, and to give you a better idea of the Eurostars project, the TRL levels, there are no strict boundaries, but indicatively, a Eurostars project starts from a TRL 3 to 4. Let's say, and at the end of your project, you must have reached, let's say, a TRL of 6, 7-ish. So at the end, you must have reached such a stage that allows you to start commercialization or clinical trials quite rapidly after the end of your project. To give you an idea as well of the size of the projects that Eurostars fund, consider that on average, a project includes between 3 and 4 participants. Remember, the minimum is 2 participants, then it can be more than 4. This is just an average. And I'll give you as well the average total cost of a project, which is about 1.4 million euro. This is just an indication. We have projects that have a total budget that exceeds this amount. It can be up to 3 million. It can be, this is really just an indication. Who can participate in Eurostars? The Eurostars program is open, is a very open program because all types of organizations can participate, and there may be funding available for different types of organizations. So the protagonists of the program are small and medium-sized companies, but they can partner with large companies, with research institutes, with universities, and so on and so forth. Also, you can participate in a Eurostars project whether you're based in one of the 37 Eurostars countries, and also if you're not based in one of the 37 Eurostars countries. Now, the key difference that there is between these two cases concerns funding, because if you are based in one of the 37 Eurostars countries, there may be funding available for you, and if you're not based in one of the 37 Eurostars countries, you're welcome to participate in a project, but only on a self-funding basis. So you will not receive Eurostars funding. And here you have a list of the 37 Eurostars countries. As you can see, most of them are European, but we also have Canada, Israel, Singapore, South Korea, South Africa. So you can really participate from everywhere in the world, and you can partner with organizations also outside of Europe. For your project to be successful, it must meet 7 eligibility criteria. They are quite simple to understand, and we're going to look at each one of them right now, starting with the first one. The first eligibility criterion states that your project must be led by an innovative SME from a Eurostars country. As I said previously, the SMEs are the protagonists of Eurostars, and that's why we want them to be in a leadership position, so they must lead your project. The SME that leads your project must also be based in a Eurostars country. And I would like to say a couple of words on the definition of innovative SME. What do we mean by that? A company is an innovative SME if it complies with the SME definition as laid out in the EU recommendation 2003/361. I'm going to say more very soon. And this company would be considered as innovative simply if it has the ambition to collaborate on R&D and innovation with international partners. So to be considered as innovative, you don't need a proven track record of R&D activities. All you need is really your ambition to innovate. And about the definition of SME as laid out in the EU recommendation, essentially this establishes that a company is considered as a small and medium-sized enterprise if it employs less than 250 people, and if it has an annual turnover that does not exceed 50 million euro, or a balance sheet total that does not exceed 43 million euro. So you need to consider these three factors. And if you are a company that is part of a larger group of companies, when you calculate your headcount, your annual turnover, or balance sheet total, you may also need to take into account in the calculation data from the other companies that are part of this larger group where you belong to. Okay, so there is a user guide to the SME definition provided on the website of the European Commission. I strongly recommend you to read it. Everything is explained really extensively, and here you have a link to the user guide. Also read the EU recommendation. If you have any doubts about whether you are an SME or not, based on this definition, just contact us and we will be ready and happy to help you. The second criterion states that your consortium must include at least 2 entities that are independent of one another. So this is quite simple. And the third criterion states that your consortium must be composed of entities from at least 2 Eurostars countries, with at least one of them also being either an EU member state or a Horizon Europe associated country. Now, all Eurostars countries are EU member states or associated to Horizon Europe, except for Canada, South Korea, Singapore, South Africa, Switzerland, and the United Kingdom. So this means essentially, I will give you an example, that if you have a project that only includes, for example, a participant from Canada and one from South Korea, only these 2 countries, your consortium would not meet this criterion, because although Canada and Republic of Korea, South Korea are Eurostars countries, neither of them is an EU member state or a Horizon Europe associated country. So you would need a third organization from another Eurostars country, which is also an EU member state or a Horizon Europe associated country. In the guidelines on the eligibility criteria that you find on our website, you find several examples that will help you understand what is eligible, what is not. So you can find a lot of guidance there. The fourth criterion states that the budget of the SMEs from Eurostars countries, excluding subcontracting costs, must be at least 50% of the total project budget. Now, this is quite simple as well to understand. So you need to consider only the SMEs in your consortium that are based in Eurostars countries, and you combine their budgets, excluding any subcontracting costs foreseen for these SMEs in the project. And if the total budget is at least, if their combined budget is at least 50% of the total project cost, then you would meet the fourth criterion. The fifth criterion states that no single project partner or country can be responsible for more than 70% of the total project budget. So in this case, you would need to consider not only the budget of each individual partner, but also the combined budgets of those partners that are based in the same country. So the total cannot be more than 70% of the total project budget. In this case, you include subcontracting costs. You do not have to subtract them as for criterion 4. Then criterion 6 states that your project can have a duration of up to 36 months. It can be less than 36 months, but it cannot be more. And finally, the 7th criterion states that your projects must have an exclusively civilian purpose. Now, this doesn't mean that you cannot have a military partner in your consortium or that you cannot develop a dual-use technology. That's not the point. You can do both things. The only thing that matters is that your project has a civilian purpose. So you must develop something that for you will be for civilian applications only, although it can be a dual-use technology. And on this 7th criterion, I would like to stress that in the application form, there is a question 13, which is specifically about it. It will ask you whether your project has an exclusive focus on civil application. So make sure that you answer correctly here, because your answer will be used to verify the eligibility of your application. So essentially, if you answer no, your project will be disqualified, because it means you're declaring that your project has a military purpose. And last but not least, about eligibility criteria, remember that your project's application must comply with all the eligibility criteria from when you submit your application until when you sign your consortium agreement. The consortium agreement is a legal document that all partners must submit if their project is approved. And that happens around approximately 5 to 6 months later. And so during this whole time, you need to make sure that your project remains eligible. So if some change happens to your consortium that may affect the eligibility of your application, you must inform us, because we are under the obligation of reviewing the eligibility of your application. Let's move to funding. Who can receive Eurostars funding? As I have already mentioned, organizations based in Eurostars countries can receive Eurostars funding, while organizations that are not based in Eurostars countries, they are welcome to participate in a project, but they will not receive Eurostars funding, so they will participate only on a self-funding basis, and they will be asked to provide a self-funding declaration. Now, if you are based in one of the 37 Eurostars countries, you need to have a couple of key information regarding funding in Eurostars. And the first piece of information is that Eurostars applies a decentralized funding process. This means that funding is managed at national level. So essentially, in each one of the 37 Eurostars countries, there is a national funding body, which is usually a ministry or an agency that is responsible for managing Eurostars funds at national level. Now, each national funding body establishes rules about funding. So they decide what type of organizations can be funded, what type of projects activities can be funded, and they also can establish funding rates and thresholds. So first thing you need to understand, depending on the country, funding rules may change. So if you have a consortium with, of course, partners from different countries, each partner must follow their own national rules. And the second key thing that you need to know about Eurostars funding is that it will not cover all your project costs. It will cover definitely a substantial part of the costs, but there is a remaining part that must be covered by yourself. So extremely important to keep in mind before you apply. Make sure that you are aware of funding rules in your country. There is in your country there is a national project coordinator who is a person that is whose job is really to help to guide applicants throughout the application process. They speak, of course, your own language, and they're there to help you. So anytime you can reach out to them and ask questions if you have any. You will find, of course, information about funding rules on our website, but also on the website of your national funding body. So make sure that you know everything in advance before applying. And unfortunately for this call, no Eurostars funding is available for organizations based in Bulgaria, Sweden, Greece, Israel, and Norway. Okay, anyway, check with your national funding body if funding is available in your country. Let's move now to the legal and financial viability check. This is a very important step in the evaluation process, and it's important that that all the partners in the consortium understand what it is about, because each one of them must pass this check in order for the project to be successful. If only one partner fails this check, the entire application is rejected. So what is it about? It's a check that your national funding body will perform on your organization, and they will verify whether you fulfill a series of requirements, starting from the first one, which is whether you have provided a valid commitment and signature form as part of the application. What is a commitment and signature form? It's a legal document that each partner must submit as part of the application form, and it's a series of declarations essentially, and it must be signed by a person who can act as the legal representative of your organization. This is very important to understand. It cannot be signed by anyone, and keep this in mind, because if you are part of a big organization, for example, a university, sometimes it can require some time to have this document signed by someone who has the authorization to sign documents on behalf of the university, or this is valid for every organization. Make sure that that it is signed and it is ready for the application, for the submission deadline. Then the second thing that your national funding body will check is in case you have declared yourself to be an SME in the application form, they will check whether you actually comply with the SME definition. So in this case, remember I have already explained a bit the SME definition. You will need to consider headcount and turnover, balance sheet total. Make sure they understand it very well. You will be asked, you will be required, if you are an SME, to submit as part of your application form an SME declaration, which is a document that you fill in with your data and data of companies that may be linked to you, maybe partners. So make sure that you fill this document correctly, because it will be used to verify your SME status. By the way, on the website, we have guidelines on how to fill in the SME declaration. These guidelines are new, so you can use them as well, together with the guidelines from the Commission to help complete your declaration. Then the third thing that they will check, that your national funding body will check, is whether you are a legal entity in your country, whether your organization has not been convicted for fraudulent behavior. Then if your organization is located in the EU or the European Economic Area, they will check whether it is not undertaking in difficulty based on EU law. If your organization is located elsewhere, they will check whether you're not in a difficult financial situation. If you are, that may render you ineligible to receive funding. They will also check whether your organization is compliant with national rules to receive Eurostars public funding. So, of course, if you request Eurostars public funding, then you will, the national funding body will verify whether you're actually eligible to receive it. In case you are not compliant with national rules, so in case you cannot receive a public funding from Eurostars, you will be contacted by your national funding body. This will happen during the evaluation process, okay? So make sure that you remain available to answer, to respond. So you will be contacted, they will inform you about the situation, and they will ask you whether you want still to be part of the project, but in that case, you can only on a self-funding basis, and you will be asked to, you will be required to provide a self-funding declaration within a set deadline. Key to stress here is that if you do not accept to participate on a self-funding basis, the project will be disqualified. So really make sure that before applying, you understand funding rules in your country, and that if you request public funding, you know that you can receive them based on those rules. And then last but not least, they will check whether your organization has the financial capacity to support your part of the project cost. As I said, Eurostars does not cover all the project costs. Part of the costs will be covered by yourselves. So the NFB will check whether you have the financial capacity to do that, and they will check it based on national criteria. So you can go on the website of your national funding bodies to have more information on that, and you can contact them anytime. You can contact your national project coordinator if you have any questions. Now the application form, just some important information. I will not go into the details of the sections of the application form. So the first key thing I want to say is the application form is collaborative. So this means that it's not only the main partner who writes the application form, but all the other partners can help the main partner do that. And the application form includes 5 sections, and there is one section which is even partner specific. So that must be completed by each partner individually, cannot be completed by the main partner. You will find on Eureka's website a Word version of the application form. So as I said, right now it's not possible to access the application form online because the call will only open tomorrow. But on our website, there is a Word version where you can see already the structure, the questions, word limits, everything. About the application form, if you have already participated in previous calls, just know that we have slightly updated the guidelines for this call. So make sure that you have the last version, just download them from the website. Then the second thing I want to say about the application form is that you will be required to submit as part of it 2 mandatory annexes. One is the SME declaration and the other one is the commitment and signature form. So SME declaration only for SMEs, commitment and signature form for all the partners. Then you will also have the possibility to upload optional annexes, including a Gantt chart and the technical annex. And about the technical annex, one important piece of advice I would like to give you is do not so avoid submitting a technical annex that is too long. Make sure that the relevant, the important information is already in the body of the application form. You need to be able to convince the experts already from what you write in the body of the application form. Your technical annex should only include supportive information and it should not be too long. And then last but not least, there will be some questions in the application form about the sustainable development goals. We will ask you whether your project may have an impact on them, may contribute to one or more of them. And we will also ask you if you have integrated the gender dimension into the scientific method that you will use in your project. Now, if you're not familiar with these 2 topics, here on this slide, there's a list of resources that you can find online, and they're very useful. So make sure that you read them so that you are fully informed about how innovation can be related to SDGs and gender dimension. One recommendation, as I said, on our website, there is a Word version of the application form. Now, the only way to apply, however, is through the online application form. Okay, so only electronically through the project platform that my colleague will show you. But you can use the Word version to work offline. However, I strongly advise you to start using the online application form since a very early stage in the process, because all project partners must familiarize themselves with how the platform works. And also, if you require at some point any technical assistance, at least you have plenty of time to contact us and we will have enough time to help you. So don't wait until the last days to start your online application form. What happens after you have submitted your application? We said that the deadline is on the 13th of April, 2 p.m. Brussels time. After that deadline, the evaluation process will start. And the evaluation process is, it includes different steps. I will not explain each one of them, but what I want to tell you, the key message here is at each step, you will receive the results. So for example, right after the application deadline, there is the eligibility check. This is the moment when we verify if your application meets the eligibility criteria. And you will receive the results of the eligibility check within 1 week from the application deadline. Then there will be the remote evaluation, the legal and financial viability check. Results will be given by late May 2023, and so on and so forth. You have dates here. And every time we communicate the result, anytime you are informed by email that the results are available, you can go into the project platform and check the results, including the full evaluations performed by the experts. And if you find out, if you believe that you have received maybe a negative result and you think that it is due to a procedural mistake, you have the possibility to send a redress request Remember, there is a deadline to do that within 15 days from receiving the results. And there are some basic rules. For example, the main project partner must send it. It must be by registered mail. So make sure that you read the guidelines on the redress procedures, which you can find on our website. And then in case there is a problem, at least you know what you have to do. And the second key message I want to give you here, if your project is approved, you will have to start negotiations with your national funding body about your grant agreement. And you will also be required to submit a consortium agreement within 6 weeks from receiving your funding results. Now, what is the consortium agreement? This is a legal document that every partner in the consortium must sign. And it contains essentially the rights and obligations of each partner, including about IPR. And so it's important that this document is submitted within the deadline. If you don't have it, you will not start your project. Your project cannot receive funding. So on our website, there are some guidelines about the consortium agreement. There's also a skeleton that you can use as basis. Make sure that you work on your consortium agreement already during the application phase. It will not be required during the evaluation process. It's not part of the application form, but it's very important that you are aware that this document exists and it will have to be provided. Okay, I have already explained the redress procedure. I will now give the floor to my colleague Giovanni, who will explain how the platform works.
Hello, everybody. So I'm going to guide you through how to submit your application using our Eureka project management platform. Here's the link, myeurekaproject.org. By clicking on this link, you will see on a first stage this page. Clicking on the competition listing, then you can see all the opening call, and you look for Eurostars 3 call 4. By choosing the call, then you can start on your application by clicking on the green button, start on your application. And in this phase, you can see all the description, the eligibility criteria, and the scope of the call. And once you start on your application, then you will be asked to choose your organization type. Please note that only the innovative SME can start on your application and must register first. And also the innovative SME is the one that must invite the other project partner to participate in the application form. Here I give you an example of the application overview. So what you see on a very first stage, first of all, you're going to be given an application number that you see here on the top, and then all information related to the call, so from the opening to the deadline. And in the first section on the application team, the main partner can invite project partner. The project partner can be invited by the main partner by clicking on add a partner to the organization, to the consortium. Once this has been done, there will be you will receive an email or an invitation email, and you will register then to the platform. Please provide correct information regarding the organization here, because, for example, information like VAT number, year of registration, phone number cannot be changed by you, but it's Eureka that do so, because you can just change contact details like name and surname. So on a very first stage, control them, check them twice. You can also add a person participating to the organization by clicking on that button. And once you've sent the invitation, then you will receive an email also inviting them to register to the platform. And anyone from the specific organization or the main partner can add a new person to the organization, and you can add many people working on the application. This is because the platform is collaborative, so the main partner can assign questions to any other partner to complete and to work on the application. You will see that by default, those questions are assigned to the main partner. By clicking on the assign to you link, then you can the main partner can assign a question to another partner. But there are sections which are partner specific and cannot be completed by the main partner, but just by the partner specific. Okay, for every section, the platform gives you tips on how to answer each question. However, we highly recommend you to use our guidelines, have a copy on the guidelines on how to complete an application, because they contain further information, further instruction that may be helpful for you. And also, you will see that in the section there is a word limit, so keep an eye on your word count. Something really important here that I want you to focus your attention is how to save properly your information. You will see there are two buttons, Mark as complete and Save and Return to Application Overview. By clicking on the green one, Save and Return to the application, you can save the section that are not finalized, while you can mark as complete the section that are finalized. And you can always edit a section even though it's marked as complete. And please also note that just the main partner can review and mark a section as complete. This is really important. Coming to the work packages, is the main partner that can create or remove a work package. They can create more. And once the work package is created, it can be assigned to another project partner. And just at that moment, so once the work package is created, each project partner must complete their own cost for each work package. And so this is possible just after that the main partner has marked as complete the work package. But something really important here, because it's something that may stop you from submitting. Every time a work package is edited, your project cost must be again completed by each partner. So if you edit a work package, then you have to submit to mark as complete again every project cost. Coming to the financial information, in the partner specific section, each partner needs to provide financial information for up to 2 years. If you're a startup, please provide estimates. And if required by your national funding body, you must upload a financial annex. Check with your national funding body what should be included in the financial annex. And also note that those financial information are confidential and cannot be seen by other partners. There's something new, like in this section in your funding, there's now the possibility to upload a self-funding declaration in the application form in case you do not request Eurostars funding. And coming to the declaration section, each organization in the consortium must upload a commitment and signature form, while SMEs in the consortium must upload also an SME declaration. This SME declaration is used to verify your SME status, and it needs to be comply with the EU Recommendation 361 of 2023. And these documents, together with the financial one, are confidential and cannot be seen by other partners. There's something really important here, because we have a check eligibility button that you will see in your in the platform. You can always use and run an automatic check in order to check if you meet the eligibility criteria. Please do so while you're submitting, while you're preparing your application, because the platform allows you to submit even though some criteria are not fulfilled. So check the eligibility of your criteria at any time. And in order to be sure that you can submit, in order to be able to submit, you will see that all the section needs to be marked as complete. So it needs to be green, like in the example on this page. Before the submission, please make sure that all the information that you provided are correct, because changes in the form that you provided are not allowed after the application is submitted. And also know that it's just the main partner that can submit the application. Once you submitted the application, then you will receive an email that is stating that you that confirm you that the application has been successfully submitted. And all partners can view or print the submitted application at any time, or they can check it by go on the dashboard of our platform. So you can access every time here on My Eureka project. Okay, just coming to some possible question. So what if my application has a mistake? First of all, you cannot edit your application after you have submitted it. You can just edit contact details, so name and surname. But if after you submitted your application, you realize you made a mistake and you're still in the application deadline, you can submit a new application. But to do so, you have to inform us using this email, so application, providing us the number of and the title of the application, and we will remove the application. So just at this moment, you can submit a new application. But please note that this may take a lot of time, also because the platform is not fulfilling those information automatically, but you need to copy paste manually all the information from an application to another. Another question that you may ask is, can I submit a previous application that was not successful? Yes, you can, but same as before, if you would like to reapply with a previous application, you need to start a new application from scratch. So you need to copy paste manually all the information from the previous application to the other one. Last but not least, you may need to reset your password in case you already have an account registered in My Eureka project platform. And if you haven't logged in since October 2022, you may need to reset your password. To do so, just click on this link, forgot your password, you can reset it, and you can follow the instructions on the platform, and they will guide you. Okay, here you find all the contacts that are important for you during all your application phase. So you can contact the Eureka Secretariat at application, or you can contact your national project coordinator using the contact form on Eureka website. And please consult the guidelines at the link. Okay, I finished. Thank you for your attention. Now we open the floor to the Q&A. So please provide all the questions you have in the question table, and we will respond to you. Thank you.
Okay. So let's see if we receive questions. I'm going to open here the tab. There are already some. So, just 1 second. See, I can see them. So, okay, there are many that are coming. So the screen scrolls in the meantime. I can see already a question about the recording. Yes, we will provide the recording. It will be sent by email, and it will also be published on our website. Now, can Israeli SMEs participate? Yes, definitely. Israel is part of the of Eurostars. Check, however, if funding is available. So remember that that each project partner must comply with national rules regarding funding. So make sure that funding is available in your country and what the national rules are. You can check national rules in the website of your national funding body. Also on our website, there you will know whether funding is available in your country. And if you have any questions, just get in touch with your national project coordinator. This is the national project coordinator is a person who can help you, who can guide you throughout the application process in case you have any questions. Now, clinical trials can be parts of the projects. You can run clinical trials as part of your project. There is a question regarding success rates. What is the success rate? Eurostars has quite a high success rate compared to other funding programs, and it is 26% more or less. So many projects are actually receive funding at each call. 26% is the average success rate in Eurostars. Okay, there is a question. What if? Okay, there are many questions coming. What if an SME doesn't have revenue? Well, there are funding rules again. Check what funding rules are in your country, what requirements you need to fulfill in order to apply. So We have a question about whether about the possibility, eventual possibility to send the proposal before submitting it for to receive suggestions from us. No, we don't provide this service, but if you have any questions just regarding the process, regarding how experts will evaluate your application, you can always contact us, and we will see if we can help. Another question about funding rules. I know that there's always a bit of confusion about funding rules because the consortium has different partners from different countries. Now, in each country, there are specific national funding rules. So each project partner must comply with, must follow the funding rules in their own country. So you will not receive funding in the same way. Let's say there will not be the same criteria for receiving funding. It can be that in one country, for example, universities can receive funding, SMEs can receive funding, research institutes. It can be that in another country, for example, only SMEs are allowed to receive Eurostars funding. The thresholds, the funding rates can vary from country to country. So yes, they are different from country to country. So, 1 second. How many evaluators will be in charge after? So there will be 2 steps. Let's call them 2 steps in the evaluation process. Your application will first be assessed by 3 experts, 3 experts who work remotely. There are full guidelines on our website that explain what the experts look for in your application and what scoring system they use. So I strongly invite you to read those, to prepare at your best. Then if your application passes the remote evaluation, there is of course a minimum threshold, and be aware that the remote evaluation runs in parallel with the legal and financial viability check, and you must pass both in order to move forward in the process. So after your evaluation, your application will be evaluated by a panel of independent experts. So they are technical experts who will look at the applications. They will compare the quality of all the applications and decide which should be recommended for funding. There will also be a panel of ethics experts who, in the meantime, assess the ethical implications of your project. Actually, about ethics, make sure that you prepare, that you are aware of the requirements, the ethical requirements that we expect you to fulfill in case your project is approved. And there are, again, guidelines on our website that you can check to prepare as your best. Are there any restriction on topic goals of the project? No, in the sense that Eurostars gives you the freedom to innovate in any technological area. You can also target any market you want. There's just one restriction, which is that the purpose of your project must be exclusively civilian. Okay, so you cannot have a military purpose in your project. This doesn't mean that you cannot have partners that are military organization, or that you cannot develop dual-use technologies. You can do that. Simply, so your aim is for a civilian application. Sorry, I don't see fully the. Okay, now maybe. So about the gender dimension, you will be asked to explain whether you have integrated the gender dimension into the scientific method that you will use in your project. There are resources here on these slides that I have listed and that you can consult anytime. They can be found easily online. You can find information on our guidelines as well. So you will receive the slides, and they will be published on our website. So you will be able to download the slides and get the links to these resources. About any questions regarding funding rules, I've received here a quite a specific question regarding eligibility, funding eligibility criteria in a country. I will not answer because, as I said, funding rules really change from country to country. So contact your national project coordinator, and they will be ready to clarify any doubts that you have on that. Then check about eligibility criteria. We can clear if, for example, you have a project with only UK and Singapore. If you need a third country, you need because UK and Singapore are Eurostars countries, but neither of them is an EU member state or a Horizon Europe associated country. So you need a third organization that is based in a Eurostars country, which is also an EU member state or Horizon Europe associated. So make sure that that you read the eligibility guidelines. You have several examples there that you can check, and you will see whether your situation corresponds to a case where your application is meeting all the criteria or not. It's well explained there. For any questions, just contact us. So, can PhD position be included in the project? I don't know what you really mean by this question, but it's up to you who forms your project team. So definitely. About IPRs, I'm receiving very specific questions about how to manage IPRs. That's up to you. You are free to decide the strategy among the project partners. So you're free about that. And check in the application form, what questions we ask there, and also as a general piece of advice, just also check the guidelines for the remote experts, which you can find as well published on our website in the library section, because there you can see what the experts look for in your project, including how they will assess your IPR strategy. Are there any particular differences with the October call? Not see the full question, I'm sorry. Maybe the required TRL is lower in October. No, indicatively, the Eurostars projects are always in between a TRL, should always be between a TRL 3-4 at the beginning, and then at the end you must have reached at least a TRL 6. That's because Eurostars does not fund pure research, okay, only applied research. And at the end, you must have reached such a stage that allows you to start commercialization or clinical trials rapidly after the project is ended. So there are no particular differences with the previous calls. We have just, I can just say that we have updated some guidelines to make sure that you have the last version of the guidelines. There are some, for example, some changes regarding the terminology in the application form. So download really the last version. There are also some guidelines about the SME declaration, how to complete it. It can be a bit difficult sometimes for companies to complete these declarations. So hopefully these guidelines will help you. And if you have any feedback on them, since they're new, let us know. There's also a difference compared to the previous call. You know, if you do not request Eurostars funding, you will be required to submit self-funding declaration, where you state that you're willing and able to self-fund your entire project costs. Now, in previous calls, this could be done only during the legal and financial viability check if you were conducted by your NFB. Now you also have the possibility to also submit this self-funding declaration at the application stage as part of your application form. Okay. In any case, even if you are not eligible to receive public funding and you have not provided this declaration at application stage, we will still ask you during the evaluation process to provide it. But if you know that you do not request funding, it would be great if you could already provide this the self-funding declaration as part of your application form, of course. Can startups lead the projects? Can they participate in a project? Startups can participate in a project. So remember, the leader must be an SME. They must comply with the definition of SME as laid out in the EU recommendation. So check what factors you need to take into account: the headcount, annual turnover, balance sheet total, how much. So what are the thresholds for this to know whether you can be the leader of the project? And startups can participate in Eurostars project, but always check regarding funding whether there may be specific rules regarding startups, specific conditions at national level. Then okay, I just received a message from my colleagues who tell me that that unfortunately funding is not available in Slovenia either. In the presentation here, you can find a list of countries that are not providing funding in this call. But also, if you go on our website, especially go on our website, and there you will find updated information. Very important question. Do we have to submit a proposal by the national authority before the deadline, the international deadline, the 13th of April? There may be cases when your country requires you to submit an application at national level, and the deadline can be before. It can be before the 13th of April. So make sure that you check funding, that you check rules, national rules in your country. Thank you very much for asking me this question. Okay, I will just reply to, they're asking what are the dates of the next call. They are published on our website. I had also written them down. It will be on the 14th of September. That will be the deadline, and the next call will open on the 14th of July. So is there any partnership network platform? So I guess you mean whether is there any service provided for you to find partners? There is Enterprise Europe Network. I don't want to be mistaken with the name, but EEN is an organization that has offices literally all over the world. So you can check their website because they provide very good services that will help you find partners. EEN. So I will take one last question because we have run out of time, and this is about the financial viability check. What does it consist of, in particular regarding startups? The check is run at national level. It is run based on national rules. So about that, check with your national funding body what are the specific conditions that you need to fulfill. Maybe just one last question about the annex, and then we close. Whether there is a limit to the pages in the annex. There is not really a formal limit, but remember that the experts so they dedicate sufficient time to your application, of course, but they have still limited time to evaluate an application. So if you provide an annex that is longer than the application form, you're not helping yourself in the process. You really need to make sure that the body of the application form already contains all the information that will convince the experts. So keep let's say ideally an annex should be no longer than 10 pages. Okay, this was the last answer that I can provide today. Of course, anytime we are available for you for any questions you may have. Our contact details are here. Remember, in each of the 37 countries that participate in Eurostars, there is a contact person. There is a national project coordinator. You can contact them through the contact form online on Eureka's website, and you can contact anytime also the Eureka Secretariat by emailing applications@eurostars-eureka.eu. Thank you very much. I wish you good luck for this process, and have a very good day. And my colleague Giovanni. Bye-bye.